the sprinkler system and I couldn't get it to work, so I had to come get somebody to turn it on for me. And I ran it one time and I'm thinking, yay, I don't have to run the sprinkler.
Man, with this kind of rain we're having, we may never have to run a sprinkler again.
Oh,
Seems that way, but it dried out so fast when we had that couple of weeks, so.
Yeah, it is so soaked now.
It is so
It is
soaked.
such a grizzle.
Yeah.
I can go for runs, collapse again, so I have huge holes in my bed.
Oh, wow.
Again,
Wow.
yeah.
Why do you have those?
Go for runs that collapse when there's so much water.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you live in the city, you don't have to worry too much
I
about
know. I know.
So sit comfortably. Let yourself get comfortable. You know, if you're in a chair, you can sit with a blanket on top of the chair if you need to. Get your feet hips distance apart and parallel. And if we're on the floor, which all of us are here today, get comfortable in how you're sitting. If you need a blanket under you here on the floor, or if you need to stretch your legs out, do. But just close your eyes gently and just let yourself almost feel like you're in a rocking chair that's barely going forward and back. Just barely letting yourself move forward and back. Just that rocking sensation, very calming. Easily start to come into sitting up nice and tall, releasing your hands to wherever feels comfortable for your shoulders. And let yourself accept your breaths in and out through your nose. Feeling the breath coming into the belly, maybe into the ribs, maybe all the way up into your chest. So keep breathing, just easily accepting those breaths. Let your shoulders release down. And if you can, come into those three-part breaths, do. Inhaling into the belly. Inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, all the way up into your chest. And then, let's let our arms come on out beside us. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down through the midline in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on out and down. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, twisting to your right. So if you can let your left hand come around towards your right knee. You may not want to go that far. Up to you. Lengthen up through the top of your head. Wake up your spine here. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around through center and just easily come in the other direction so that again, you're just waking up your spine. Finding that twist in the middle of your back. Feel your sitting bones drawing down. And one more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back into center. And let's bring our left arm on top of our right to give ourselves a hug. It doesn't matter whether you hold up and over your shoulders or kind of down towards your armpits. It doesn't matter, whichever your shoulders feel better doing, really. And then bring your head down and let yourself release there. If it feels good to turn your head a little bit side to side, do. So any kind of little movement that feels good for your neck. Opening up there in the upper back, too. And then come on back into center. Now you can stay right here, or you can rise your head up and start to come into either an eagle or a half eagle wrap. So you can just barely let your hands come a little bit closer together in the backs of your hands. Or you can slide the back of your right hand to the outside of your left elbow there. Or you can go ahead and bring your hands together if you'd like that full wrap. So just find that sense of releasing the shoulders down, letting yourself breathe into between the shoulder blades on your back. And then let the elbows come down, let the arms come down, and let's float the arms up and bring our right arm on top of our left this time. And again, at first hugging, and if you want to let your head move around a little bit, come forward or side to side, just play a little bit. Find whatever release you can up there in the upper back. And then come on back into center, and again, whether you want to just let yourself release your hands a little bit off your shoulders or send them closer towards each other, or slide the back of your left hand to the outside of your right elbow. Or of course, if you like that full wrap, you can bring your left fingers to that right palm and let yourself connect that way. And just breathe. Let your shoulders release down. Feel the breath coming into between the shoulder blades on your back. And we'll let our arms come on down from here. Circle your wrists around a little bit by just letting your hands go one way and then the other. Shake them out too. We're going to switch the cross of our legs if we're cross-legged on the floor. So letting yourself come to the other side. And then from here, see if you can do that gentle like you're in a rocking chair movement again. So you come forward and back. And it's that rocking sensation that feels really good and releasing. Good, and finish off the one you're on so that you come back up to sitting tall. And let's release our arms out beside us. Let's inhale just the right arm all the way out and up. And then bend your elbow. Let your hand come wherever feels good for you, for your shoulder. So you open up a little bit there into your tricep. And if you want your left arm to come over the top and let your hand come onto your elbow, you can. It's not necessary. And keep the arm down. Stay with looking forward here. And then we're going to release. Let both arms come on down. And we'll let the left arm come out and up overhead and bend that elbow. And again, if you need to let it come out or forward, don't do anything to force anything into your shoulder. And if that right arm wants to come over the top, you can. Keeping your gaze on out so you feel that sense. Almost like you're breathing in and out through your heart here. And then we'll release and let our arms come on down. And then just make a little circle with your shoulders one direction. And when you get to the bottom again, stop and reverse. And let them be not like you're tensing up your shoulders, but it's like a released feeling as you circle one way and then the other. Good. And then again, shake everything out of your hands. Let's stretch our legs out for a second. Shake everything out there. And we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. If you do not want to be on your knees, do not be. Use a blanket underneath your knees for cushion. If you don't want to be on your hands so that it puts too much into your wrist there, you can come to your fists. Or you can use your chair seat or your blocks and come down out of your hands entirely to do cat-cow too. So just be mindful. Let yourself start to ease your way through your spine here. So if you can, imagine your tailbone being the first thing that moves, and then you just flow your way into either your cow pose or draw the tailbone up under and flow back into your cat pose. Remember, if either of these bother you, just don't go so extreme. You can always stay more in a neutral spine and just find a little bit of movement through your spine. But just enjoy feeling that suppleness, really, of the spine. Good. And we'll finish off the one we're on. And come back to a more neutral spine as you look down between your hands. And we're gonna step our left foot forward, our right foot back, and come into lunge. Now you've got your blocks, you can use them any height as you bring that left foot forward and the right foot back, or you can use your chair seat. I'm gonna turn mine around just in case I wanna use it. So if you don't have a chair and you need one, go over and grab one anytime you want. But let yourself come into finding that first lunge with that right leg back, and enjoy opening up now through the back of that leg, and zip up your low belly a little bit. Make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. And we are going to switch legs. So when you're ready to come to the other side, take your time. Remember, you do want your feet like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. So don't get that sense of one foot being in front of the other one like a tightrope. Instead, you want that little bit of space. Draw your shoulders down. Let yourself enjoy feeling the back of that left leg now, and engage your belly. Good. And we're going to switch again. So the second time, if you feel like you want to get a little more out of your hands, you can always bring your left hand up to your right above your knee there on your thigh, or your forearm up if you're down lower, right? You can bring both hands up if you want. You all know that. And we're going to switch again. So again, once you get that alignment of that lunge, if you feel like you want to get out of your hands a little bit, you can come up to fingertips and bring the right hand up or forearm up, or not. Good. And let's let ourselves bring our hands down so we can step forward and come on into standing forward bend. Be really mindful here. Look at your feet for a second and just walk a little bit. Bend one knee at a time. You can either lift the heel up of the bent leg, or you can keep the feet grounded if that feels better. Let it be kind of just an easy back and forth. And come on back into center and have your feet hips distance apart and parallel, and use whatever support you need for your back. So remember, if you feel iffy in your low back, really pay attention. Put your elbows above your knees to support yourself, or use your hands on the blocks, keeping your back longer. And of course, if you're okay to fold more, that's fine. Just really allowing yourself to focus now on your breath. Full, deep, even breaths. Watching your breath all the way in and all the way out. Good. One more breath. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. So if you need to adjust a little bit to come into your mountain pose, do. Make sure your feet are the distance apart you feel comfortable with, right? Pretty parallel with your feet. And whether your eyes are opened or closed, just look on out as though you're looking at the horizon, so that you feel that sense of almost like you're looking beyond the wall. And find that ease of your head up there on top. So, make sure your chin's not jutting forward or tucking back. There's that sense of just reaching up through the top of your head. And then feel your feet in the floor equally. So feeling equally grounded through your feet. Feel your thighs gently engaging upward. And your hips really do want to come over your ankles, and your shoulders over your hips, coming into alignment there. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. And let's inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bend our knees, come on forward into our standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice long flat back, whether you like your hands on your shins or your blocks or your thighs, or maybe down onto your chair. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. coming back into that lunge. This time kind of gently press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Feel your belly engaging, your hips, your low back. And we're going to come on into a downward facing dog pose. Your choice whether you want your hands up on blocks any height, down on the floor, or up on a chair even higher. Let your elbows softly hug inward. Walk a little bit in your dog like we did in our mountain. Bend one knee at a time. Good. And then finish off back in your down dog, and next inhale will bring us out towards a plank. Now you don't have to do a full plank. You can go to your forearms, you can put your knees down and do a half plank if you want to. Reach back equally through your inner heels and feel your belly engaging. There's your core strength. Now if you do like push-ups, you can bend your elbows if you're up on your hands. And then we'll come on back into down dog. Reaching equally back through your sitting bones. Feel your elbows softly hugging towards each other. And we will bring our right foot forward from here to come into lunge. Now, whatever you need to do to get there, remember you can put your left knee down if you need, or both knees down. And again, find that sense of pressing the feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. Feel your belly engage, your low back, your hips. And we will step forward from here and come on into our standing forward bend. Just check out your feet. Make sure you're comfortable with the distance apart, parallel as you can be with your feet. And release to where you're comfortable. I mean, I know some of you like to bring your hands down towards the floor. Some of you even like to bring your hands to your elbows. So if that isn't too much, you know, that's kind of a lot for the low back for a lot of us. So just be mindful. Use blocks if you'd rather. Feel those full, easy, deep breaths in and out. Feel those ribs expanding when you inhale. And let go of your face. Let go of your jaw. And then we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips. Bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands up to the midline. Keep them together if you can. And then bend your elbows. Now if you can, your hands might rest kind of the thumb base like at the top of your head, or maybe back behind the top of your head a little bit, which rises your elbows up higher. Now make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward when you do this. So the tailbone's reaching down towards between your heels. Belly engages. One more inhale. And then start to lengthen your arms back long. If you want to look up at your hands, you can. And then open the arms like wings as you bend your knees, hinge from the hips as you come forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And this time, left foot comes back to come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down. Feel the length in the back of the body here. Inhale. And exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Again, whether your hands are on blocks, the floor, or the chair, reach equally back through your sitting bones. Feel your elbows softly hugging towards each other. And let your next inhale bring you towards your plank. Again, you can come down to forearms. You can come down with your knees so you're in a half plank. If you like push-ups and you're on your hands there, you can bend your elbows in towards your ribs. Coming into a little more strengthening for the arms. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. Reaching back again, equally through the sit bones. Remember, feel free to bend your knees anytime in your dog. If it feels better to bend both your knees, do. And we will bring our left foot forward to find lunge this time. Again, how you get there, totally up to you. And then we'll step all the way back into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Nice full weight here of the head if possible. Remember, if letting your head hang puts too much in your back, don't do it. You can keep the back of your head in line with your spine. But try again to think about just letting go through your face, letting your face be soft, releasing all around your eyes and all around your mouth. And then we'll let our hands come back up to our hips. Bend our knees, press into our feet as we rise straight on up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. From here, let's just extend our arms out into a T position, straight out from our shoulders. Palms face down here. Let yourself reach out through your fingertips. Now, make sure again that you're not tucking your tailbone forward. Feel your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. And then rotate your palms up. Feel how your shoulders like adjust when you do that. And let's float the arms up into a wide V. So a mountain with our arms overhead. Feel the pinkies turn towards each other. See if you can maybe look up a little bit. Depends on you and your neck. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to bend the knees and come forward into that standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back again. And this time we're going to step into down dog. So bring your hands to the height you like them to be. And walk your way back. And take your time. Walk a little bit in your dog again and turn your head a little side to side if you can. So you're going to release your neck there. And then come on back to your full dog. Let your next inhale bring you to your plank. Now, it is totally optional to do a back bend here. That is up to you. If you'd like to, you can come to the floor and go up onto your forearms into a sphinx, or you can come through for an up dog, or do a little cobra too if you want. Just coming up a little bit onto your hands. And we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Remember, those are optional, those back bends. So take your time. We'll do it one more time. Inhale your way out towards your plank. And again, it is totally up to you if you'd like to try a back bend. You don't have to go far. You can always let your hips come down a little bit, right? That's a little bit of a back bend. Take your time. You don't have to send your chest through. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. Good. And this time we will bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. Make sure you don't have that front knee bent farther forward than your ankle. And then we'll come on forward again into standing forward bend. See if you can, and you might want support under your hands. See if you can lift your toes up. And just look at your feet. Make sure you're not rolling out to the outer edges of your feet or to the inner edges of your feet. Either one of those, right? Think about your base of your big toe mound and the little toe mound into the floor. And try to separate your toes a little bit. If they don't cooperate, you can always use your hands to kind of help them separate a little bit if you want. And then let's just softly release our toes back down to the floor. Bring our hands on up to our hips. Press into our feet as we rise on up to standing, and we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bringing the hands down and coming into your mountain pose. Bringing your gaze on out. Feeling, again, that sense that the body really wants to align, which it does. Once you get grounded equally through your feet, and you get the alignment of your pelvis, right? So the tailbone reaches towards between your heels. And then it just naturally wants to line up. Hips want to come over your ankles and shoulders over your hips. Feeling that sense now of watching your breath, but maybe even feeling your heartbeat now. And then unfolding your arms on down beside you and shake out whatever you need to do. Move around if you need to. And we are going to come into Warrior 2 first, stepping our right foot back. So I'm going to turn my chair around. Have your blocks handy though. So as we step that right foot back, whether you step 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, right? Just get aligned here if you can with your heels. So you think about drawing a line forward, and the front one's almost the same line as the back one. Bend that left knee a little bit. Take a peek. Make sure you're not heading inward with that knee. Good. And then bring your hands in front of your chest and let your palms face down, and let yourself just feel this sense of palms down, shoulders releasing down. And we're gonna open the arms out for warrior two and just turn to look out over the top of that left hand. Kind of spread your fingers out a little bit, but soften your shoulders down. Feel energy out to your fingertips. Coming into that strong warrior two pose there, feeling very balanced. Good. And now let your right hand come onto your right hip. We're gonna straighten our left knee out. And we're going to bring our left hand down for triangle. Now, you may want to put it on, if you had a chair there, a chair. You may want to put it on your thigh. You may want to let it come down lower if you want to use a block. Or even stack 2 blocks up. You can be really high and still be in a triangle pose. Letting yourself feel the torso elongating out over that left leg. Right arm can come straight up from your shoulder, or you can keep the hand right down on your hip. So just be mindful of your own shoulder. Feel the thighs lifting upward towards the hips. So the legs are straight, but you're really using them. As you press your feet away from each other, you're engaging upward with your thighs. We're going to bend the left knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two from there. Pressing the feet away from each other gets us right back into that core strength. And then let your hands come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. You may want your blocks because we're going to come into a wide-legged forward bend here. So take your time. Let yourself, once you get your hands down, adjust how wide you think you want that stance. Your feet are fairly parallel if you can. And then go ahead and bend a knee at a time if that feels okay for you. If it bothers your knees, don't do it. If it feels good into your inner thighs, then let yourself move a little bit. Good. And then come on back into center and take your time here. You can keep both knees bent in this pose. You can put your elbows above your knees to support your back if that feels better. Or you can fold and let the top of the head release down towards the ground, having your hands between your feet or even holding your ankles. Or using your blocks to stack up so that you have a long back, but you get out of your hands too, So just explore a little bit till you get to that place that feels best today. Every day is a new day, so maybe try something different. If you don't feel quite good, adjust. Try something a little bit, makes you get a little more comfortable. And then just breathe. Nice, full breaths. Feel the ribs expanding. Just feel like you don't have anything better to do than just breathe. Even if you don't have an Apple Watch to tell you about it. Full deep breaths. Let your face be soft. And then think about rising up. To take your time, and if you need to bring your feet together a little bit before you come up, by all means do. And once you do get up, if you're dizzy, you need to keep your feet wide, shake it out a little bit, walk around if you need to. And we're going to go the other side, stepping our left foot back. So again, letting yourself get that alignment of your heels. Heels line up, front knee bends no farther forward than your ankle. Let yourself really find that sense of strength here from the feet all the way up through the legs into your hips. And then bring your hands in front of you like you're putting them on a shelf. Spread them out. Spread your fingers out now. And then when you're ready to unfold the arms, you're going to turn to look out over the top of that right hand, reaching equally out through both sets of fingertips. Now feeling the feet in the floor, feeling very balanced, very strong. Imagine you're looking out beyond the wall right now, way out to the horizon. And then we'll let our left hand come onto our left hip and straighten our right knee out. We're going to bring our right hand down for triangle. So you elongate your torso out over that right leg. Your hand can be on your thigh. It can go down to your shin. It can go to blocks. Left shoulder comes up. If you want to lift the left arm up, you can. It's not necessary to bring the arm straight up from your shoulder. think about your palm facing the long side of your mat, right? So that it puts your shoulder into a little bit better place than if you turn your hand backward. It's facing the same place you're looking, right? One more breath. And then we're going to bend the right knee. Press the feet away from each other a little as you rise back up into that warrior two. Core strength. And then we'll let our hands come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. Again, you grab your blocks if you need them. Coming into that wide-legged forward bend, our hands can be on the floor. And if you need to bend a little bit and kind of adjust, do it. Let yourself move a little. And then let yourself either bend both your knees equally or have your legs straight and walk your hands over towards the right. You might just want to walk your blocks a little bit and stay over onto that right side with your knees equally straight or equally bent if you can. And then we'll come on back through center and we're going to walk to the other side. Again, you can just let your blocks be like they're extensions of your arms and come over a little bit. You can go all the way to your foot if you want. Try to stay equal feeling in your legs and how the bend or straightness is. And then come on back into center and let yourself from here bend both your knees and bring your elbows above your knees if you can. So you're kind of in a squat. Maybe the tips of your fingers and thumbs can meet there at center, can touch lightly. Good. And then again, we're going to find our way into where we want to stay with our breath. So if you like stacking blocks up, using them for your forearms or maybe for your head, right? Sometimes it feels good to support your head. If you know that you really like to walk your hands back, go right ahead as long as it doesn't feel like it's too much for your back. You can even keep walking back, way back with your hands behind you, if that feels good. And then let your breaths come in and go out as evenly as you can. So think about your inhales and exhales being equally important. See if you can really let yourself enjoy feeling those little spaces between your breaths. Now, come on back up to standing again. You want to let yourself do what feels good. Hands can help you on your thighs. You can bring feet closer if you need. And then once you do get up and you walk your feet around, go ahead and move through your feet a little bit. If you can turn to the tops of the toes a little bit, do. And we're going to come into having both our blocks, or if you have a chair there at home, you can turn it around for the seat to face you. And we're going to bring our hands down to blocks and step our right foot back and come into lunge first. So let yourself come into your lunge. Really allow the shoulders to come down away from your ears. Enjoy your lunge here. Good. And now let's add a little twist. Bring your left hand up to your left hip and roll that left shoulder up, letting yourself come into twist here. You can stretch your arm up if you want to, or you can keep your hand right down on your low back. Try to stay fairly level in your hips. Good, and then we're going to come on back down with the hand, and we're going to straighten the front leg out, lower the right heel down for pyramid pose now. So now you're attempting to get that back foot turned maybe 20 or 30 degrees, heel all the way down. And you can be any height you want with your hands. You can be up on the seat of a chair, you can be at the blocks, the highest height. You can go lower if you choose, down with the blocks, lower. Feel your thighs gently lifting up towards your hips. Let yourself enjoy the length of your torso right now so you really feel like your torso is long instead of rounding. Don't fold yet. So if you can keep your back nice and long, do. One more breath here. Now we're going to add a twist now that we're in our pyramid as well. We're going to bring our left hand up again, and we're going to roll that shoulder up into what's called revolved triangle, actually. So feel your thighs lifting up. Feel that twist in the middle of your back. Good. And then let your left hand come back down. Now if you want to bow over your front leg, go for it. If it feels good to fold over that front leg, do. If not, don't do it. Stay with the back long if you need to. And one more breath. And then come up enough. We're just going to step forward with that right foot and get both our feet underneath us for a second. And we're simply going to switch legs now and step our left foot back for a lunge first, remember. So coming into your regular lunge where your left heel is reaching directly behind your foot. Take your time, get adjusted there. We're going to add that twist where the right hand comes up. And we're going to roll that right shoulder up. If you can, put your palm right down there on your sacrum, do. And you can check for levelness. And of course, if you like stretching the right arm up, you can do that. You can reach the arms straight up. You might even want to turn to look up a little bit. That's up to you. And then let your hand come on back down. We're going to come on back into our lunge here. And we're going to adjust for pyramid. Which for most of us, well, it depends on how long your stance is in your lunge, but you got to get that back heel down, so it usually shortens it. And the heel turns in a little bit, and the thighs are engaging up. Now focus on that length of your spine. And man, this is so great for the backs of the legs, obviously. Feel your thighs lifting upward, like you're creating space in your knees. And that way, you are still obviously feeling in the back of your legs, but if you engage your thighs a little bit, it takes it out of quite extreme. And we're going to bring our right hand back up to our right hip, and we're going to do that little twist again, where we roll the shoulder up, bring the palm down onto the sacrum, coming into revolve triangle. Now lengthen out through the top of your head. So feel like your head is a part of your spine if you can. Good, one more breath. And then bring your hand back down. Now, if you like to bow over that front leg now, do it. You can fold over. You can just let your elbows bend a little bit. You can even let yourself go lower if you want with your hands. One more breath. Good. And then we're going to bend the front knee and now to step forward again to get our feet right underneath us into a standing forward bend. So let your knees soften. You can use your elbows above your knees if you'd rather. And if you really want to deeply bend your knees, do it, right? So you're releasing your back and your hips in a way that feels good for you. Good. And now we're just going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down, coming into our mountain pose. So just enjoy. Feel the lightness of your head first, right? Like it's floating up in the clouds. And feel very grounded through your feet. And see if you can imagine that you're being held up really by the air all around you. So it's very easy. It's a feeling of effortlessness, really, being in this mountain pose here. But enjoy feeling the energy now flowing through your body. We are going to unfold our arms right on down beside us and shake it out, move around, do whatever you need to do. We're going to leave our mats right where they are, but we're going to step over to a wall, and you can use a bookcase if you need to. We're just going to put our left fingertips to a wall so we can have a little support. So if anybody wants to step over here, you can. There's room right there too. If you feel crowded, if you want to come over here, Nance, you can. Doesn't matter. Wherever you don't feel too crowded. But let your left fingertips touch something, a wall or a bookcase. And let's step on our left foot. And we're going to actually come into a tree pose. But folks, just indulge me. If you normally bring your foot off the floor, for a second, don't. Just put your right heel into the inside of your left ankle, and your toes are on the floor. So you're standing on your left foot. Your outside leg is the bent one. Okay, your right heel is into the inside of your left ankle. Now, see if you can just let go of the wall and bring your hands to your heart. So you've got a little bit broader base of support here. Even if you feel like you're shifting around a little bit, try to lift up through that supporting leg. And imagine if you could just lift the foot up gently onto your inner calf. And if you're like, yeah, well, no, that's not happening, it's okay. Keep the toes down, readjust. Sometimes it helps to bring your arms up overhead into like a wide V, and then experiment with lifting the foot up to the inside of the calf. And that way maybe you can get a little more lift. One more breath. And then come on down. We are going to shift and turn around to the other side. And we're going to do the same thing. So the right leg is you're supporting. Your left heel comes in to the inside kind of your ankle bone a little bit. Your toes are on the floor. And then maybe it's easier just to let your hands come to your heart. Find a spot to look at. You know, sometimes for me it feels better to look down like 6 or 7 feet in front of me on the floor. And then you can imagine trying to think of lifting the foot up. It might be harder on one side than the other, that's for sure. Use the wall if you need to. Yeah, change your arms if you need to, of course. Good. We're going to come down again. We're going to go back to the first side. And now you decide, what's your favorite way to be in tree pose? Do you want to just bring your foot right on up to your inner calf? Some of you might want to reach down and get your foot, bring it up into your inner thigh. Right? If that feels good, you can bring your foot into your inner thigh. But just play a little bit with whichever one feels good for you, how your hip feels, totally up to you, how high or low the foot is. But feel the foot gently coming into the inside of your leg, the inside of your leg coming back in towards your foot. And then when you're ready to release on down, let yourself come on down. We're going to turn back again to the right hand on the wall. And again, kind of pick. Do you want your foot to be low or high? Do you want to keep your toes on the floor? That's fine too. And then just play. Let yourself come on into the balance where you feel comfortable to be. Wherever you want your hands, you know, you can do anything you want with your hands. You can keep your hand on the wall. You can open your arms into that wide V if you want, so you've got your fingertips right there to touch the wall. Nice. And then let yourself release down. Turn to face the wall. Come on back into a down dog with your hands at the wall, either fist if that's better for your wrist, so you don't have that wrist crease, or you can have your hands flat on the wall, spread your fingers wide. Now, you're thinking about being in that capital letter L, a printed capital letter L shape. So you're 90 degrees at your hips. Now, it's fine to bend your knees, though. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. Let yourself really enjoy reaching back through your sitting bones. Bend your knees a little bit, even if they're not already, and imagine you're trying to press your feet away from each other. Really gets into your hips there. We're going to walk back in towards the wall. And now, let your hands come behind you. Let your belly come to the wall. And see if you can release your head a little away from the wall. It's like a little standing camel. That's a little back bend right there. If you just let yourself bring your head, maybe your chest, a little away from the wall. Keep your belly gently engaging. Let yourself open up however much you want back into that lift at the base of the shoulder blades. You don't want to feel a compression in your low back. Good. One more breath. And then bring your hands back to the wall. Step back again into that same down dog you just did. Let yourself release back into that down dog. Elbows hug in. Enjoy. Good. Nice release for the spine. Think of your heart melting down towards the ground. Beautiful. One more breath. And then walk back up into the wall again. And we are going to make our way back to our mats and come down onto our bellies on the floor. So let yourself release on down and just relax. Bring your forehead onto your hands there, stacked up like a pillow, and bend your knees, circle your feet around. You can do the windshield wiper blades too if you like, side to side. Good. And then come on back to long legs underneath you here. See if you can curl your toes under and lift your knees up. Just so that you really feel the knees lifting off the floor, and you come into stretching out the bottoms of your feet because your toes are curled under, right? And you can feel that nice stretch through the feet. And then let your knees come back down and go back to pointing your feet. And come onto your forearms with your elbows under your shoulders for Sphinx, if you can be up that high. If not, don't be. Stay down with your elbows down more like this towards your waist. You can still be in a back bend right here. So don't do anything that feels uncomfortable. Let yourself enjoy bringing your gaze, if you can, there between your hands if you're up with your elbows under your shoulders. Good. And now bring your hands together. Interlace your fingers, send your pinky fingers out, bend your knees, and lift up so you're in a half forearm plank. You're on the flesh above your knees. And now imagine and just really try to pull yourself towards the front of your mat. So you come onto like higher on the flesh above your knees there. You're not on your kneecaps at all. Press into your forearms, feel your belly working. If you want more, you can put your toes down. You can lift yourself up into that full forearm plank if you choose to. Or you can stay in the half one, whichever works. We're going to come on down. Come back onto laying with your head on your hands again. Bend your knees again. And let your feet go side to side a little bit. And we're going to, one more time, either come back into that half forearm plank or the full forearm plank. Or those of you who really have been coming a while and like a dolphin pose, you can actually come onto your knees here, clasp your hands, and lift up if you want into a dolphin pose. So it's your choice. Coming into the half forearm plank, the full forearm plank, making your way in towards a dolphin, which is a very different alignment of the shoulders. So remember, when you're in your dolphin, your head is not on the ground. Your head is off the floor. You're pressing into your forearms and letting yourself hug your elbows towards each other and thinking about releasing between the shoulder blades on your back. So whichever one you're doing, one more breath. And when you do come down, we're going to make our way back towards pose of a child. So big toes together, knees apart as much as feels good. And you know it is fine to stay with your bottom kind of up in the air. You can rest right here. Let yourself release your hips and your low back. That shifting of the hips back towards the heels, really, your knees and your hips will tell you what you can do and what you can't, right? So just give the back and the hips time to release, breathing into your low back. Really enjoy feeling the breath expanding the low back. Good. And one more nice full deep breath. And then come up enough where you can walk your hands over towards the right. And you're going to come into feeling a nice stretch through the left side of the body. So once you get there, try to let your head release. Even if it's up off the floor, it doesn't matter. Try not to lift your chin up and tighten the back of your neck. But let your head hang down if you can. Breathe into that left side. And then walk back through center, and we're going to go to the other side. So you're walking towards the left, unless you did the left first, obviously. And then just breathe into that side you're stretching. Let it feel like the ribs expand. Very lovely feeling there to feel the ribs moving on that side with your breath. And then we'll walk back into center again with our hands. We're gonna come on up. So walk your way on up to send your legs around in front of you. So if you need to kind of shift around to get your legs in front, grab a blanket if you need to sit up. So if you need to sit up on a blanket, or a block, right? So if you need some height, use it. And then from here, let's bring our right leg in. Now, left leg is still long, right? See if you can lean back a little bit and lift your right foot up off the floor. Flex the foot, right? So I'm actually really holding here to get myself into being able to find that length of my spine. And then I'm gonna send my foot forward a little bit. Now, we're all different here. You know, you may wanna stay right here. This might be enough. If you think about reaching to hold your foot, your left hand can hold the big toe mound and the right hand can hold the little toe mound. That's a heron pose right there. And if you're like, oh, I just want to lengthen my leg up and lengthen my whole torso up more than you can, right? Not necessary. And it can also stay right here. You can stay right here. You can actually even play with lengthening it down lower too. But try to keep the length of your spine. Good. One more breath. And then bring the foot on down. And we're just going to switch legs. So just bring that right leg long, and again, you can kind of wrap your arm around behind your thigh a little bit to bring yourself back on that little bit of an angle, and then you've got your leg right there. You know, you don't have to reach up and get your foot. If you reach and get your foot and it makes you do this, then don't reach and get your foot, right? Just let yourself stay here and kind of do the best you can with where you are there. And if you like to let yourself hold your foot and lengthen your leg up and bring your gaze up, then you'll get more into the length here of the torso. Again, totally up to you. Good. And then let yourself release on down. Stretch your legs on out in front of you. Bring your hands behind you. And let yourself, whether you want to stay on fingertips, right? You can stay right up on your fingertips. Draw your chest forward here. Or you can go flat to your hands, but you can get just as much by staying up on your fingertips and letting this chest come forward on that diagonal line. And be mindful of your neck, right? I don't like to let my head come all the way back, but I do like to look up a little bit towards the ceiling or maybe where the wall meets the ceiling. You've got your own neck to know how it feels. One more breath. And then we're going to release. Bring your head forward a little bit. Let it turn a little side to side. Good. And then just bend your knees a little bit and let yourself kind of roll through your bottom. I don't know any other way to put it. It's like you're massaging. And you can roll all the way like to the side of your hip. And then roll all the way through to the other. And it's like a massage. Feels good. You take your time. Let yourself finish off. When you're done, we're headed towards our backs to lie down. So get yourself on down and bring yourself into knees towards your chest once you get there. And let your knees come apart a little bit, just a little bit, and then move them from side to side. So, you know, your feet are kind of touching each other, your knees are a little apart. And you can let your back go there and your hips. Good, and now come back to center. Keep your right knee in towards your chest and extend your left leg down long on the floor. Flex through both feet. And now draw your right knee with your right hand, kind of like you're drawing it towards your right shoulder. And the foot is coming in more to the midline of your body a little bit. See if you can reach your left hand down and hold the top of your right ankle, right? If that's too much, don't even do that. If you want more, you can let your left hand come onto the bottom of your right foot, and you can kind of hug that lower leg in towards you. It's like a reclined pigeon pose. So if that doesn't feel good, don't do it. Keep flexing the foot a little bit so you have energy up into your hips, and keep flexing your left foot too. Good. One more breath. And then bring the knee back in more to center, and we're going to bring the left knee in, and then stretch our right leg down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Just for a second, stay here. Feel the left leg pressing into your hands a little bit. And then let your left hand draw that left knee over to the left more, and almost like you're pulling it towards your shoulder, let your foot come more to the midline of the body now. And then maybe your right hand can reach down and hold that shin so that you can kind of hug that lower leg in. Or you might want to put your hand on the bottom of your foot and hug the lower leg in closer to you. That is up to you and how your hips built. That's all it is. Just be mindful, take it easy, let it feel good. Keep flexing the feet. If you want, you can even press the leg back into your hands. That left leg can press back into your hands a little bit. And there's a big engagement in the hip. One more breath. And then bring the knee on back into center. Bring both feet onto the floor now. Separate your feet towards the outer edges of your mat. And let your knees come to one side and the other, right? At your own pace. And at your own, like how far down they go. So you get to choose if the knees just barely shift, so you kind of go from the top of one hip to the top of the other one. Or maybe you want to descend towards the ground with the knees. That's up to you. Getting a stretch for the top thigh. If you go down with the knees towards the ground, you kind of get a stretch through that top thigh. And then we'll finish off with the knees up. We're going to bring our feet back closer together, setting up for bridge pose. Now, I forgot to tell you to have your blocks handy. So if you know you like supported bridge and you need to reach over and have a block handy, do it. But get your feet set first. Let your feet get parallel, hips distance apart, a little wider than you are in mountain. All right? And then bring your arms on down alongside you. And if you like the robot arms, you can bend your elbows, face your palms towards each other, press into the backs of the arms and rise on up. You can roll your shoulders under. Once you get there, you can grab that block. Once you get there and come down to rest on a block any height. You know, you can do the lowest height of a block. You can go to the second height. You can use two blocks if you want, stacked up. The lowest height stacked up. It's really high though. Or you can press into your bridge and stay as long as you'd like, but also feel free to come down from bridge whenever you need to. So if it feels better to come up and stay just for a little couple of breaths and then release down, by all means do that. And if you like the block, you like to stay supported, that is a really nice way to release your low back. You can stay resting on the block if you want to. You can move up and down off a block too, though. So just be mindful. Let yourself feel pretty good about releasing into your bridge, staying supported if you'd rather. Feel your feet on the floor. Just make sure you don't overdo, because you don't want to feel bridge pose in your back. You feel your thighs in bridge, but there's a lengthening in your bridge pose of both the back of the body and the front. It's like your top buttock muscles are reaching down towards your knees. If you're on the block and you like to play with lifting a leg up or both legs up in the air, by all means do that. Feel your back of your head too, just gently coming into the ground, so that you don't have your chin buried in your chest, but you also, you're not lifting your chin up. You can really feel a difference in the back of your throat when you find that perfect place. And now when you're ready to release down, We'll come down gently to the ground and bring our knees in towards our chest. And then just gently send your feet up for a little happy baby pose. The knees can slide kind of down towards the outside of your rib cage, down towards the ground. Now you can use your hands just to support your legs right like that if you want to, or put your hands on the outside of your legs to your thighs, or you can reach up to get your feet or your ankles if you want to. And see if you can just release a little bit side to side. And if that bothers your back, don't do it. You can roll side to side if that feels like a huge relief for you. One thing I like to do in Happy Baby is to be at center and let one leg stretch out long, and then bend it again and let the other one stretch out long. Because to me that feels really good. Of course, you can always do both legs long and do a wide angle too, if that feels good to you. Start to listen to your own body actually right now. There could be any number of things. You know, you may want to bring the soles of your feet towards each other into a Baddha Konasana. You might need another twist after those bridge poses and doing the seated things we did. We did one twist when we came down, but you may feel like right now that you'd like to do another twist. So you can pick your favorite. You know, it can be double knee twists, going knees one side to the other. It can be bringing the knee in towards your chest. And there might be something entirely different, actually, that you need to do right now. So take your time. I'm going to get lights first, and then I'll start to collect things here at the studio so that you can be more comfortable for Savasana. But don't rush. You need to do another movement or another pose, by all means do. Stretch any way you feel good to stretch. You can bend however you need to bend. And at home, if you're feeling just a little bit iffy, you can always try putting something underneath your knees to give your pelvis a little bit different angle. Does that sound good? Okay. So, I'd like to walk around. If I miss you and you think a bolster sounds good, wave at me. Good, like non-slippery hips. So don't give up on me. I'm getting around. I have an inkling about some people. I see one there. Let me know if the bolster sounds good. Sometimes you lie out and you think, oh, I'm just fine. And then you feel a little iffy in your hips, so, or in your back, or even in your shoulders, right? So sometimes just changing a little bit about how you have your arms and your legs helps, but also sometimes, you're welcome, that little bit of an angle to the pelvis would help the back release. So be mindful. Let yourself kind of melt down into the ground here, accepting your breaths easily in and out. So if you were watching waves coming in and going out, if you were just accepting those waves, you wouldn't try to change them in any way. If you were at the beach and you were watching, so see if you can feel that same way about your breath. Just feeling and focusing on the breath as it comes in and goes out. Letting your body and your brain respond to that breath as it becomes a little quieter giving yourself a few minutes to find these little quiet places. All you need to do is kind of get out of your own way. Simply by refocusing back to your breath over and over. It gets a little easier and easier as you do it. And give yourself these few minutes so you can benefit from all you just did. And just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. Just let yourself come back to feeling the ground underneath you and allow your breaths to gradually come in and go out a little more deeply again. So you're feeling the body actually move as you breathe. Feel those breaths coming all through the body to kind of wake you up again, refresh you. And you know, as you wiggle your fingers, your toes, and move your hands, your feet, you come into letting your arms and legs move the way you need when you're ready. You know, you can stretch, you can bring your knees in. And if you're comfortable to roll, excuse me, to either your right or your left side, you can come into a soft fetal position on your side, maybe using your arm as a pillow, just to rest comfortably. But you know, just really be mindful, let yourself come back the way that feels good for you, for your body, and for your brain. When you do feel like you're okay to rise up to sitting, let it feel pretty easy so that you can come up to sit however's comfortable. You can stretch legs out if you need to. You can cross your legs. And of course you can grab a blanket to sit on if that's better too. Just allow yourself to feel pretty equal through your sitting bones there as you lengthen up through the top of your head once you're seated comfortably. And then just be aware again of feeling your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Feel good about having your head up there on top again. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Wednesday. Happy last day of June as well, isn't it? So classes are normal. I'm not doing anything different for July 4th.